Welcome back, guys, to Chills and Thrills. Before starting, remember to subscribe the channel and like the video. Funtime Kids Care. On the 25th of January, 2015, Reddit user Disco Godfather 6922 made a post on the Salt Lake City subreddit that would spark one of the biggest conspiracies in the platform's history, featuring an image of a mysterious bright green building with little to no context. Its only identifying features being several signs that read, "Funtime Kids Care," suggesting that the building might have once been a daycare center, or at least pretending to be one. The title of the post read, "What's the deal with this place? Lived across the street from it for 5 years, never seen a kid there." At first glance, an abandoned daycare doesn't seem all that interesting, but something about this building felt off. Details didn't quite add up. The fresh-looking exterior paint clashed with old, worn-out signs. The oddly placed windows appeared to be boarded up from the inside, and these strange elements caught people's attention, making the post go viral across the internet. Then things got even stranger. A few days later, Disco Godfather visited the building again and described what they saw in a comment, saying, "So, I just came back from the place and found something in the back covered by a camo tarp. I then saw a Mexican man come out, pick something up, and go back inside. Earlier in the day, I went there and saw a pizza guy trying to deliver a pizza to the place. He knocked and knocked. Nobody came to the door. He left. And I was about to as well, until I noticed kids walking up to the door and trying to get in. Finally, an old Mexican lady opened the door and let them in. 5 years of living here, never saw a single person go in or out. Then in one day, I see 4 people. While some joked about the building being a base of operations for Walter White from Breaking Bad, others took things more seriously. To them, this daycare looked like a money laundering front, or something far more sinister, like an organ harvesting operation. One user even pointed out the convenient timing of Disco Godfather seeing the 2 kids after their post went viral, suggesting that it could still be a drug front. But perhaps due to the additional attention it's getting, they're bringing in some of their own kids to make the place look more convincing. Before Disco Godfather or the internet could find any concrete answers, a Reddit user by the name of Deathship advised them to stop looking into the place. Naturally, people wanted to know who this guy was, and as Redditors began digging further into Deathship and their ominous warning, they made some interesting discoveries. Deathship was a retired Air Force linguist, fluent in 8 languages, and had allegedly been stationed at Area 51 at some point. If these credentials were true, it was possible that this mysterious building was affiliated with a 3-letter organization like the DoD, FBI, or CIA. And if Deathship knew that, it would explain his warnings to Disco Godfather, telling them to back off. Things became even more terrifying when, soon after Deathship's comment, Disco Godfather began receiving threats from other users. Delete your posts and comments and stop asking questions. First and last warning. We know who you are. If you must continue your search, try to uncover what you seek. Do not say, "I didn't warn you." Things like this are always run by dangerous people. The situation escalated when people found a connection between the daycare and a shipping container from China. The bill listed 1,100 kilograms of plastic jewelry and 6,825 kilograms of football and soccer balls, leading many to believe that the daycare might be involved in human trafficking, pointing out that the weight didn't match what you'd expect from lightweight plastic items. Fortunately, all these disturbing theories turned out to be nothing more than conspiracies. The Utah Department of Health had official child care licensing records confirming that Funtime Kids Care was just a normal, functioning daycare. A recent comment by Reddit user Baby Tears further debunked the mystery, sharing a personal story. "I know this post is old, but my dad actually went there as a kid. It's run by a nice older lady apparently. My dad told me it's meant as a kind of safe haven daycare to protect children who have a parent or family member that isn't supposed to be in contact with them, someone deemed dangerous or persistent, hence why the windows are semi-covered with curtains and drawings. Also for safety, that's why there are only a few kids in there. I live right by it, and they actually just painted the building bright green with yellow windows. In the winter, there are cute snowmen in the playground." Looking into the daycare's history, it was originally established in 1973 and was once much livelier, but after being purchased by a man named Richard Yoakum in 2006, it wasn't maintained properly, with multiple complaints about infants being left outside unsupervised, children being yelled at, and unsanitary conditions becoming common. Eventually, the business started to fail, but Richard continued running the daycare at a loss, handing it over to his mother, just so she would have something to do in her later years. As for the ominous warnings from Deathship and others, they were nothing more than trolls seizing the moment to harass Disco Godfather and turn the mystery into something far bigger than just a creepy building. On May 15th, 2023, Richard Yoakum passed away at the age of 79, but the Funtime Kids Care building still stands today. Its legacy now reduced to a quirky internet footnote, where fans of the mystery even dress up as the daycare for Halloween, an ironic ending to what was, in hindsight, a completely overblown saga. 96.7 FM, Strange Sounds. On the 7th of January, 2018, Reddit user Batchin320 made a post on the Beaverton, Oregon subreddit describing a bizarre phenomenon. The post read, "Tune in to 96.7 if you are near Progress Ridge. Some weird stuff is going on. Sitting in the car with friends, tuned to 96.7, and I'm hearing weird repeating sounds and sometimes random people talking or saying random things. The sounds get more bassy and less bassy, with some strange frequencies interrupting other ones. Someone please explain this." At first, many dismissed it as nothing more than two dominant radio stations overlapping. But those who tuned in themselves quickly changed their minds, hearing the eerie broadcast firsthand.
KZRYLP, Portland.
Around the same time, another Redditor, Jimmy Saltz, made a strikingly similar post in the Beaverton subreddit, essentially ruling out the possibility that the issue was tied to Batchian's car radio. And as time went on, more and more reports of these strange noises started surfacing, all centered around 96.7 FM. Now, if these sounds were just random interference, most people would have ignored them, dismissed them as a faulty broadcast system, and moved on. But what made them truly unsettling was how they kept changing. They would cycle between white noise, something resembling a very loud fan, and, most disturbingly, old speeches from Martin Luther King Jr., John F. Kennedy, and the Apollo 11 broadcasts. We're approaching the 60-second mark on the Apollo 11 mission. T-minus 60 seconds and counting, we passed T-minus 60. Looking further, reports of these strange noises dated back as far as 2017, and one post, made by a now-deleted Reddit account, stood out in particular, stating, "Did I record some kind of numbers station? Recorded this off of FM radio on 6/17 at about 6:30 p.m. The radio station is not officially listed. It went on in this pattern for several minutes, before just playing some white noise-type tone for hours and hours on end. No station call. The station is a defunct rock station I never heard of." The next day, they played MLK speeches and something that maybe could be called ambient music, slow motion tones and whirring sounds. Nothing it's played is recognizable by Shazam. Any input is welcomed. The user had linked a video, and sure enough, the noises matched exactly with what Batchian320 heard a year later. As far as I could tell, reports of these strange noises persisted until June 2018, only to disappear as suddenly as they had emerged. And this extended year-and-a-half-long timeline ruled out the possibility of some troll hijacking the frequency, because over such a long period, someone working at 96.7 FM must have noticed the interference and corrected it. So, if these noises weren't caused by a faulty broadcast or a hijacked signal, then what exactly were they? The only ones who could answer that question were the people running the station, and after listening to one of the recordings closely, a distorted call sign could be heard. KZYLP, KZYLP.
KZRYLP.
Looking up this call sign in the FCC's public notice from August 2018 revealed that the station was licensed to the Community Alliance of Tenants, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping tenants understand their rights. But this revelation only raised more questions than it answered. What would a tenant advocacy nonprofit have to do with eerie, unexplained noises on a radio station? Reaching out to the Community Alliance of Tenants led to nothing but an outright denial. They claimed they had no knowledge of any interference on their station. But this left only one possibility, that these noises were deliberately broadcast by the Community Alliance of Tenants themselves. And why would they do this? The answer is simple: attention. Think of it this way. You're driving down the highway, flipping through the radio stations, looking for something interesting, when suddenly you hear a creepy, unexplainable noise. Wouldn't you be curious to check the station again later to see what was going on? As some speculated, they were likely broadcasting these eerie noises during off hours to build curiosity around their station, a station that otherwise covered fairly dull discussions about tenant rights. People were already floating this theory back in 2018 when the sounds first started gaining attention. And while the Community Alliance of Tenants has never come forward with a confession, most people on the internet are convinced that they deliberately orchestrated the entire thing as a hoax to generate intrigue. Regardless of the true motive, 96.7 FM has since been replaced by a rap station. The Evil Farming Game. On the 1st of May 2016, Reddit user Sparta213 asked for help in finding a game similar to Harvest Moon, a cutesy farming simulator. But what started as a simple request quickly spiraled into something far darker as others read through the specifics of what Sparta was looking for. The post read, "I know almost nothing about this game. All I can remember is that it's kind of like Harvest Moon, but with a dark twist. The game starts out with you and your wife. One night, you get into a fight and you end up stabbing her to death. Now, the game revolves around you farming to stay alive, while trying to keep the town from finding out about the incident. Every now and then, the cops come to search your house, and you have to hide her corpse." The idea of a game that combined an innocent premise like farming with such a twisted storyline was both disturbing and highly intriguing, and given the nature of this mystery game, most assumed it was some obscure, flash-based browser game. However, despite countless users dedicating hours each day to the search, they found no clues leading to an answer. The search gained so much traction that it even spawned its own subreddit, which quickly grew to over 10,000 members, as the legend of the sinister farming game spread across the internet. Along the way, some users even claimed to have played the game themselves, with one post reading, "Hi all, first time posting here. Today I found my old laptop, but sadly, it won't boot up." Though it brought back some great memories, particularly a game I'm about to describe. At the start, you killed your wife, but after that, you just lived as normal, managing your farm. However, the twist was that the police could come at any time and find the body, so you had to constantly be wary and move it. The laptop was built in 2001, and I bought a new one in 2003, so it would have been between that time. It wasn't a browser game, and I think I may have gotten it from uTorrent, but I can't remember for sure. Hope this is enough info. Many thanks. Despite these claims, none of them led to anything concrete. That is, until one user finally solved the mystery 5 years after the original post. According to him, Sparta213 likely misremembered an animation clip from YouTuber Varg Skeletor Joel, otherwise known as Vinesauce, as an actual game.
Honestly, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like Harvest Moon, but with, like, corpses. It sounds like... that'd be a fun game, just playing as Harvest Moon, but throughout all of the gameplay, you gotta hide a dead corpse. You know what? No. You know what it is? Harvest Moon, it's just regular Harvest Moon with your wife, and midway in the game, you have an argument with your wife, and you accidentally kill her with, like, a... You kill her with, like, a barbecue kebab rack. Like, you impale her accidentally, and you're like, oh, I didn't mean that. And at the same time as you gotta, like, manage your farm, you know, raise your chickens and milk the cows, you also gotta, like, hide the body from the cops sometimes, from health security checks, and, yeah.
Shortly after, Sparta confirmed that this was likely the true source of the game, stating, "So, guys, I just got around to looking at the Vinesauce animated video that someone found, and as anticlimactic as it may be, I believe this is likely the source. It fits everything exactly, and I used to fall asleep all the time watching Vinesauce videos." In the end, while finding the answer was satisfying, it left many feeling empty after spending 5 long years searching for a game that never even existed.